But yeah, sure, okay. It's these questions are basically all about the Indian school system and Indian schools in general. And we'll start out with asking, basically, how would you explain the can you say environment of this school, of how the kids are, how happy and so on, like, and the facilities? Do you have any? Are they good? Are they bad? Could they be better? Anything? Just
Yeah,
yeah.
of course, they can always be better, but we have the number of students which is 2,500 in
Oh.
this building. So there are very limitations, that comes
Mm.
with the space. That will always be there in our country. So wherever you go, schools will have. This is a small school. Bigger
Oh.
schools go up to 5,000, 6,000. So there'll always be those limitations. But yes, in this school, compared to many other schools, we are one of the best,
Mm.
in terms of infrastructure. So I believe that it's quite good.
Yeah.
And what I would like to add is that in India, the school setup is like that because we need to cater all the kind of class
Mm.
of the Indian society, because they're so diversified society. The school would have the students coming from a very low society, where the economic status is quite lower, then the middle, and then higher. So what the main setup of the school has to be like that it is an average setup.
Mm.
We cannot cater the needs of a lower economical society and the higher at one place. So we need to create something which is very uniform for everything.
Yeah.
For example, a uniform. You would see that everybody is wearing a uniform. We don't allow them to wear casuals, because then it will create disparity. It will
All right,
create
yeah.
problems, because one would not wear so good clothes and the other would wear very good clothes. So we make a uniformity. So that kind of a challenge is always there in Indian society, and that's how the school setups are like this. And but ours is the one of the best schools, which have best of infrastructure,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
the teachers, faculty as well.
In terms of resources, do you feel you have enough resources compared to the amount of students and so on? I heard you saying that other schools there are 5, 6,000. So it sounds like that you have a lot of resources compared to other schools. Is that true?
Yes, again, I would say that this is an average thing,
Mhm.
right? There are modern schools coming up with more infrastructure, with lesser students,
Okay.
but more fees.
Yeah.
There's one more understanding which you need to, there's a difference between Denmark and India.
Oh yes.
That
Of
yes,
course.
the Denmark is like the government pays the entire, the money. Here, these are the private sector schools. The parents have to, fund the education. So the resources here are average. There are schools with better infrastructure also, with lesser number of students, more fees structure, and with providing more international education. But this is the one which is more preferred, because in this type of school setup, most of the parents can afford it. So that's the setup.
Just 2 seconds. Er der mere med?
Hvad med mere sådan i forhold til offentlige skoler frem for privatskoler?
All right. Just a question. Could you somehow explain, because this is a private school, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Could you explain how or if you know how public schools are? Because I feel like this school is really good, but if this is a private schools are usually
This is
nicer.
called as public-private school.
Public private school.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's
Um,
government schools.
Yeah. So government schools, how are they? Can you explain anything about them?
Actually, the government schools basically are the ones where education is free for all children. But because the infrastructure is not good, and the kind of the strategies and the way teaching is done is not exactly recommended very highly, so we have the lowest economic strata. You would have seen the labor class, the helpers in the society, the watchmen, they send their children to those schools
Yeah.
because it's free education. Infrastructure, government is making a lot of subsidies, and compared to this it would be much lower. The government is working, but then it's not good. You have in one classroom as many as 60 students for
More than
one
that.
teacher. Yeah, it's quite crowded, and they do not have so many rooms like computer labs. The science labs are not that equipped. Libraries are not that exhaustive.
Yeah.
But it's like the government makes in terms of teachers the investment. Otherwise, they do not have that many resources at disposal.
Alright.
And that's how the public and private schools become famous, because the upper middle class and the middle class, they avoid government schools.
Yeah.
So that's how the public schools are surviving. The private public schools, they're coming up in number, because it becomes then a kind of a small mini business also.
Alright.
Yeah, so there are many schools. Even if you check out this area of 5 kilometers, you'll have more than 25 private
Yeah.
schools.
Oh, wow.
There would be government schools also, but with 1.2 billion population, you
Yeah.
need to have, that's the utmost necessity. You need to have lots of schools, so it's being manageable.
Alright, thank you.
Er det den her?
Just to round it off, do you have any goals for what you want to achieve or how you want to improve the school in any way?
See, there are two areas that the school is currently. We have completely moved from the regular classrooms to ICT, the technology
Yeah.
that we have got into the rooms. So we are getting into that, and the entire school is covered by ICT, and the conversion into the software and teaching. The other thing that we probably aspire for, she probably can share, is that we are working on a new education policy, the entire country.
Okay.
The last policy document came in 2005, and now we're going to have a new education policy in 2016 end. Right, we're working. The government is working on it. So in that, there are three changes that you're talking about more. A, bringing in more of Indianness, because we are becoming too much of English prototypes,
Alright.
right? Number two, they are planning to introduce more of Indian culture, history, giving more choices. Our systems are a little rigid with choices. We don't have. So they intend to offer that, number two. And number three, they are working very hard to make right to education, widespread.
Alright.
So including more offers and, for poor children to get into the school.
So majorly what she speak, I would like to add that one thing which personally as my goal also, I would like to add upon that education now needs a lot of involvement of the teaching of life skills. Because what is missing in the education now is because we're rushing towards the technology, there's a lot of modernization coming. I think life skills are taking a little lag. Tolerance,
Yeah.
patience. This is the one. These are the values, core values on which the world of tomorrow,
Yeah.
the future of the tomorrow depends. Because there would be many instances where there would be situations where people would lose their tolerance. They would have to have a calmness and peace and all those things. So I think foremost requirement for an education is to involve lot of life skills and real life situations where students can learn a lot of patience, tolerance, peace,
Yeah.
virtue. That's what my opinion is. And rest, yes, towards modernization, towards technology, everything is fine. But I think we should not forget human core values.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was